Donald and Melania Trump arrived at the White House Monday morning for a pre-inaugural tea, restoring the traditions around a peaceful transfer of power. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden greeted the Trumps at the White House North Portico, greetings and posing for photos ahead of a private meeting over tea and coffee. "Welcome home," Biden said to Trump after the president-elect stepped out of the car. According to Associated Press, Biden wrapped his hand around Trump's upper arm to escort him inside the mansion. Trump, who overcame impeachments, criminal indictments and a pair of assassination attempts to win another term in the WH, will be sworn in Monday as the 47th U.S. president, taking charge as Republicans claim unified control of Washington and set out to reshape the country's institutions. Trump's swearing-in ceremony, moved indoors due to intense cold, will begin at noon Eastern Time. But festivities will start earlier when the incoming president arrives for service at St. John's Episcopal Church.
Former deputy head of the Security Service of Ukraine, retired Security Service of Ukraine Major General Viktor Yagin, commented on the question of how the FSB has managed to remain an extremely powerful force in the Russian Federation for so long, and what could put an end to its power. The FSB remains in power because it has money. When you have money and the ability to operate it, you can do anything, he emphasised during a chat on Glavred. At the same time, the interlocutor noted that states governed by special services are not viable. They begin to eat themselves from the inside. They need expansion. Otherwise, when there is no expansion, they begin to work internally, and as a result, internal repression begins. Because this monster must be constantly fed, he explained. At the same time, the former deputy head of the SBU believes that the only counterbalance to the special services is the army. In Russia, this army is being grown quite actively now. When Stalin died, the army showed its teeth. Representatives of the special services were shot by army generals led by Zhukov. That's why Zhukov was stopped, because they were afraid that he would take the leading roles. So, Putin played ahead and began to destroy the generals, fearing that they would seize the initiative, Yagin added. Earlier, An unexpected forecast of a riot in the Russian Federation and the overthrow of Putin appeared. The FSB can replace Putin only in one case, Viktor Yagin is sure. What is the difference between a coup d'etat prepared by politicians and a coup d'etat prepared by a special service? A special service envisages several directions of development of events. We remove him, and what next? Who do we put in his place? How will the people, the environment, and the world react to this person? What will the legend about where the predecessor went be? A helicopter crashed? Or he simply burned up in a bunker after work? Or a serious illness, which ended in death 2 weeks later? All said and done, Putin will be buried between Stalin and Lenin, he noted. Let us recall that earlier the general explained what awaits FSB-style Russia. Putin and the FSB remain in power in Russia because they have money. They do whatever they want now. But the FSB has gotten carried away. As reported earlier, the GUR named the goals of disseminating information about the dictator's death. Internal processes and confrontations in the Russian Federation manifest themselves in completely different forms, Andrei Yosov emphasized. Glavred reported. Ukrainian Armed Forces officer Serhiy Teshotsky notes the Russian forces are withdrawing troops from other areas to redeploy them to the Pokrovsk direction. He said this on the Espresso TV channel. Currently, assaults are ongoing. The Russians mostly move in cars and buggies. It has become a pattern that they use civilian Zhiguli cars of various models, noted Teshotsky. According to an armed forces officer, the Russian troops are actively using the weather conditions to move en masse, under the cover of fog or at night. However, Ukrainian defense forces detect the enemy and try to destroy them on the far outskirts. Overall, in the Pokrovsk direction, the Ukrainian defense forces are eliminating about 300 Russian occupiers daily, give or take. We can see that the invaders are not giving up on their intentions. To the southwest of Pokrovsk, the Russians are trying to deploy more forces. There is also information that the Russian army is withdrawing units from other directions, but they are not achieving the success that they had hoped for. Russians attack so often along so many axes against undermanned Ukrainian positions that some of the assaults are bound to get across the mine-infested, artillery-blasted, drone-patrolled no man's land. More and more of these assaults involve cars, trucks and vans, having lost around 15,000 armoured vehicles in their wider war on Ukraine, far more purpose-made combat vehicles than sanction-squeezed Russian industry can replace. Russian regiments and brigades are increasingly riding into battle in civilian vehicles. Russian commanders knew the vehicle shortage was coming. This fall, some regional commands began hoarding cars, trucks and vans. The critical case has apparently come for the regiments in Luhansk. Russian forces occupy most of the oblast and are determined to capture the rest in coming months. The enemy's military command in the theatre of operations until March 2025 will try to reach the administrative borders of Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts. The Ukrainian Center for Defense Strategies noted.